To the top big story we are tracking here on Mirror Now, a landmark judgment from the Supreme Court of the country today with ramifications on the choice of abortion by women. Well, the Supreme Court upheld the right to life of an unborn child, prioritizing it over the bodily autonomy or right to choice of the mother. In the case where a woman sought permission to terminate her 26-week-old pregnancy, the Supreme Court refused the request. The court emphasized that termination was not permissible as it had surpassed the 24-week ceiling prescribed by the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. It also stated that there were no identified fetal abnormalities according to the two AIMS reports that were presented before the court. The Supreme Court also highlighted that the reports indicated no immediate necessity for termination to safeguard the life of the petitioner or the fetus. Meanwhile, the Apex Court has directed the state to cover all medical expenses related to the pregnancy, as the petitioner had said that she is suffering from postpartum psychosis and will be unable to bear the expenses of raising the child. However, while it pronounced this verdict, the Supreme Court also clarified that the decision to either give up the child for adoption or not later lies with the mother. Well, I will quickly go across to my colleague Harish. Harish, thank you for joining us. Well, there has been a lot of back and forth on this judgment, but if you can please break down the final verdict for our viewers following the AIMS medical reports.
Yes, that's right. In the battle between the bodily autonomy and right to choice of a mother versus the right to life of an unborn child, the Supreme Court in a landmark judgment has sided with the right to life of an unborn child. The Supreme Court very clearly said that as far as the bodily autonomy and right to choice of a woman is concerned, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act clearly says that that is available till 20 weeks and a maximum of 24 weeks if there is a danger to the life of the mother and the fetus, and if there is a serious fetal abnormality, and not in this case there were two. After one report said that the mother and fetus is perfectly safe, to be doubly sure we had gone for a second test. Even the second test has said that even the medicines taken by the mother for postpartum psychosis has not affected the fetus, and there is no danger to the life of the mother and the fetus, and since she has already waited for 26 weeks, let her wait for a few more weeks and undergo a normal delivery, and if she doesn't want to keep the child, the child can be given in adoption. The entire expenses have to be borne by the government, and in case the couple wants to give the third child, in fact the couple already has two children, and the third child in adoption, the center shall extend full assistance. This landmark judgment came after the second report said that the fetus did not suffer from any abnormality, and there is no risk to the life of the mother, warranting an immediate termination of pregnancy or a delivery. So, saying so, the Supreme Court bench led by Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, has once again said that we cannot direct stopping of the heartbeat of a matured fetus full of life and a viable fetus, and this will amount to nothing but a murder. Remember, even during the hearing earlier, the Supreme Court had very clearly said that we cannot ask the AIMS board to commit a feticide. Very, very significant remarks. And also had said that under the directions of the court, we cannot order a murder. We cannot ask the AIMS to kill an unborn child. Saying so, the Supreme Court has said that since the woman has already waited for 26 weeks, let her wait for few more weeks and undergo a normal delivery, after which, if required, the child can be given in adoption. So a big, very, very landmark judgment, and the Supreme Court has very clearly said that a woman's bodily autonomy extends only till a maximum of 24 weeks, even as per the MTP Act, and we cannot breach that. So saying so, the Supreme Court has said that all assistance be rendered by the government to this couple in the pregnancy, and also that if they require that the child be given in adoption. So, as you said, a lot of back and forth. First, the two-judge, woman judge bench had allowed termination of pregnancy, against which an appeal had been filed. The matter had been heard twice, then there was a split verdict.
Right.
And after that, the matter came before a bench led by Chief Justice, who has given landmark reasons, very, very big, very important, and several reasons with lot of implications and repercussions as far as future adoption cases, in fact, the abortion cases and termination of pregnancy cases are concerned. A landmark judgment which will act as a precedent
Right,
in all similar situations
Absolutely.
in the future.
Absolutely, Harish. Thank you for sharing all of that with our viewers. As my colleague Harish shared, there has been a lot of back and forth on this, and this is a landmark judgment in terms of abortion rulings, and it will have further impact on such rulings going forward. Well, to discuss this more, I'm joined by Shilpi Jain, who's a Supreme Court lawyer, and Ranjana Kumari, who's an activist. And thanks a lot to both of you for taking time out and joining us to discuss this landmark judgment. Well, I will first quickly go across to Shilpi. Shilpi, you know, the court had also earlier observed that the autonomy of the mother triumphs, but nobody is appearing for the child in this case. So can this verdict be seen as an attempt to balance the rights of the child? Because as per the AIMS report, it is not just a fetus, it is a living, viable fetus, and if given birth, can survive outside, and hence the Supreme Court has chosen right to life over right of choice.
Absolutely. I express a sigh of relief. A precious life has been saved by the intervention of the top court, and life has been given a chance. A mother has a right to bring life into this world, but no human being has the right to take life of a mature fetus. 5 months, which is 20 weeks, is a long time for any woman to think and rethink what she wants to do with her pregnancy. If you wake up too late, it's bad luck. A child has fetus which otherwise delivered will be born as a child, has not done any wrong, and should not be made to suffer for just, the women fancy of the mother. I think this child has brought a landmark judgment, is welcome to this world of so many billions. One more child, I don't think should raise eyebrows or make any human being frown, and nobody has a right to take life. As the top court has rightly said, it would amount to feticide, it would amount to murder. I mean, guilt doesn't come easily to some people, leave alone a mother. It's strange what kind of a mindset, just, expressing financial instability. What if after the child is brought to the world and is, say, 3 years old or 5 years old, and then the mother becomes bankrupt or has financial troubles, will she then kill the child? The situation would be the same. Once you have given birth to a child, the pregnancy has, become as mature as 7 months or close to 7 months. There's no rethinking allowed. The case from the beginning, I thought, did not fall in any of the exceptions that are available under law. It was neither a case where the child was outcome of a rape, nor was it a case where, there could be any risk to the life of either the mother or the fetus, nor was it brought in the exception where the child would be, born abnormal or with some disability. These are the exceptions which are available. If both the mother and the fetus are healthy, the heart is beating, how can you, as a mother or as a human being, ask for the heartbeat to be stopped? No human being has that right. Ordinarily, if one human being takes the life of another human being, there's a specific law which makes it into murder, punishable with life imprisonment or capital punishment. It's as serious as that. And this child, when it grows up, this fetus, when it is delivered and the child grows up, he will read this judgment in history. I don't know what his reaction will be. I mean, obviously, it won't be a pleasant thought in his mind. But the fact is that beyond what the mother wanted, I think there is a divine power, and the intervention of this court has brought life to this child.
Right, Shilpi, thanks so much for sharing all those details as well as the legalities behind this ruling. But fair points, you've made very fair points. But I also want to bring in Ranjana here. Now, Ranjana, in this case, the mother has been suffering from postpartum psychosis. She was already having a tough time since this was her third pregnancy. She has two children. She has expressed this was an unplanned accidental pregnancy. How can this verdict be read from the perspective of a woman wanting to exercise her choice, prioritizing her own physical or mental health and making it paramount?
Well, I think the question needs to be looked at from the broader perspective. It's question of choice of a woman over her own body. Should a woman have any kind of choice over her own body? Should she decide to have a child, not to have a child? Should she decide how many children she should have? So all that is, it's because it's the women's body which carries the child, which they, and then post-birth, who is going to look after? I wish Supreme Court had made a kind of in the same ruling saying that it has to be a joint responsibility of both the parents to raise the child, because men don't take any responsibility. It's not just to produce a life, but also nurture. And, care for that life is another, very, very hard task. Motherhood is venerated. All kinds of things are said about motherhood. But don't people know how much mothers have to suffer to raise a child? And this is something, that's the second thing I wish court had done. And thirdly, why don't the Supreme Court of India decide a kind of framework within which such a the decision should be taken? Why did she had to go to two women judges? They understood and they allowed her. Then again it was challenged, brought up to the Supreme Court. Do you know how much time it has taken in this whole process? So that it has become 24 weeks now or 26 weeks now. So, this is Supreme Court of India should give a guideline that within that week, when a woman comes to the court, this decision has to be taken. You can't keep prolonging it and then say, oh, now the time is that the child is already having a life. You can't abort. Another thing, I must bring another issue. So joint parenting, when and if you abort the child, and then also if she's suffering from psychological issues, has Supreme Court appointed a group of psychiatrists or some psychiatrists who will be looking after her depression? Who will be taking care of the woman? Because, first of all, you let the time pass. One report was not enough. They asked for another report from the, AIMS. Then that took time. And then finally, it has 16 days of just Supreme Court. So what kind of a, system we are living in? Why should a woman be forced to have a child when she does not want to have a child? This is my question to society, to people, and also to our Honorable Supreme Court of India. Why? I mean, because you need progeny, you need children, you need people to, but do you take care of those women? Do you really are concerned about what happens to women, especially these days, young women who have career? They have to, let me paint a scenario. You have to really suffer in your career. You can't take promotion, you can't take transfer because your children are around and you have to look after the children. Of course, we all do it very happily. We all have done it very happily. But should that be enforced on a woman? Should this society be so cruel and criminal to women that only and only a woman who can produce a child, and you're so worried about the life? What about the life of the woman?
Ranjana, I actually have Shilpi still with us, and maybe we can pose your questions to Shilpi, who is a top court lawyer. Shilpi, a couple of very interesting questions.
Just last 1 minute. I heard her. It's all moralizing is very good. All philosophy about, having children, life, supporting. So many children are just lying on the street side. Who cares for them? Who's worried about their life? Because
no, see, Ranjana, both of you are entitled to your views, but I want to ask a very pertinent question that you raised on this show to Shilpi, that Shilpi, what is this order exactly mandating for the woman? The woman who is physically suffering, she is going through postpartum, she has expressed and shared everything that she's going through in front of the Supreme Court. Was there no provision in this verdict made for her health, keeping her, prioritizing her mental and physical health?
It's not moralizing about just women, just a life must be saved at
Allow me to
life.
speak.
Shilpi, if you can come in on this verdict.
Yeah. Now, you see, the law is clear. mental anguish is either when the child is the pregnancy is result of rape, or up to 20
Not
weeks.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
Please,
No,
please
it could be a very bad relationship.
I do not want any interjections, ma'am. Allow me to complete. You will get your chance. Allow me to hear me out.
Just one interjection
No,
that is
no,
not
no.
necessary.
Ranjana, I will come to you. I will definitely come to you. I just want
Allow me to complete,
a
ma'am. Don't
perspective
get so-
in terms of how this verdict is balancing the rights of choice
I'm just
of the
saying
fetus's
as
life while also
Yes.
uh,
the mental state that the law talks
right.
about.
So, Shilpi, if you can just quickly come in on what are the provisions for the woman that we are talking about, the 26-week pregnant woman.
Yeah. So up to 20 weeks, which is 5 months, she can think and rethink. And as per my knowledge, she did not come to the court within that 20 weeks. Otherwise, there would have been no problem. It was absolutely legal. To my knowledge,
But
I
she
think
came now.
even
She
after
came now, and she's still not well. She's not keeping
Not-
okay.
not
So we
well.
also need to consider her health, right?
Not well is a very subjective term. The law includes cases where the child is the result of rape, or is the person is mentally unstable, or it can make her mentally unstable. Just a case of depression, unless her mental health is affected to an extent where she can be mentally unsound, is not going to be a ground for taking life.
Ma'am, we
of a
can't say
fully
it's
mature
just a case
fetus.
of depression,
No.
actually, because postpartum depression is one of the biggest things. Maybe Ranjana can come in here, because postpartum
Yes,
depression is not just a depression. It is actually
but
something
as
very
per the
severe
medical
that a woman
opinion,
goes through, especially given this is her third pregnancy.
The medical opinion says she is not mentally.
Shilpi, look at the mindset. You are saying just depression. Do you know sometimes women can take their life because of that depression?
I
Do
am
you
going
know
as
that
per the
women can go
medical
totally
opinion. It's
haywire?
not my opinion.
There is
AIDS
a proper.
says she is mentally healthy.
Law needs to
Please
change.
understand.
Law needs to
It's
change
not
and
your
understand mental
interpretation
health.
or mine. It's what the doctors are saying. The doctors are saying the mother is absolutely healthy, and this, when they say physically healthy,
Healthy
it also
physically.
includes mentally. She
Healthy
is not
physically, but not mentally.
unhealthy to an extent which the law requires for her to take life over almost 7 months old.
Okay, Shilpi, I think you made your point clear. I think what Ranjana is trying to say is that this can be a big risk to the woman's life also, but as per you, as per the legal requirements that came into this landmark judgment, well, there is no provision to in fact have to deliver a judgment unless there is proven record, is what Shilpi was saying. But very interesting questions raised, especially about how the father should also be expected to assist the woman in the raising of this unborn child. Well, we will leave it at that. Thank you, Ranjana, and thank you, Shilpi, for joining us on this landmark ruling that we have been in discussion on. Well, moving on to another big story.